At what revenue does a business become exit ready? Almost everyone answers that question with a number, and the number is usually somewhere north of $1 million. That answer is not just wrong, it is the single most expensive piece of advice circulating among women founders right now. And most of the women repeating it have no idea what it is costing them. So let me say the thing this whole episode is going to rest on, and then we can spend the next 20 minutes learning about it. Exit ready is not a size. It is a structure. There are businesses out there doing $3 million a year that a buyer would not touch. And there are businesses doing $200,000 that are genuinely worth owning. And the difference between those two has nothing to do with revenue, and it has everything to do with what happens to the business when the founder steps out of the center of it. And that's the whole game. And nobody teaches it to you at the stage where you can actually still building it, which is exactly why I wanted to talk about this with you today. Welcome to the Manifest and Chill podcast. My name is Tracy Ftacek. I help women founders build businesses that can hold a life instead of consuming them. I've built companies, scaled them, and exited them 4 different ways. So the strategy here comes from having done the thing, not from having read about it. But I don't stop at strategy, because the founders who ignore how they actually feel in their business are the ones who burn down everything that they built. So today, we work on both the numbers and the nervous system. And that combination is the whole point. Let's dive in. Well, hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome back to the Manifest and Chill podcast. We are visiting with our Exit Ready series. And if you have been with me across this entire series, you already know I built exit ready businesses with women founders through the energy aligned business strategy. Now, today, I'm going to answer one of the questions the entire industry gets wrong. And it was something that was posed to me when I was at a retreat last week. 2 women in particular stand out. One of them has become a coaching client of mine. I'm full. And then the other one was somebody that follows me on social media. And we were talking about exit ready. And I think that there is a misunderstanding of what this means in correlation to the way that I teach how to build an exit ready business. Exit ready, well, let's start at the beginning. We were talking and I was sharing to a group what I did as a founder and coach and business strategist. And one of the women that's a friend of mine said, "Oh, I thought exit ready meant that you only teach people how to build an exit ready business when they're ready to sell." And so she's like, "I didn't think that was for somebody in the beginning stages." That is the big distinction. And we're going to dive into that and talk a little bit more in detail of why it's important to build exit ready from the very beginning. And then later in the episode, I'm going to speak on a woman that was at the retreat that really, I don't want to say the word she triggered me, but she definitely unlocked some core memories of when I was in the same place as her 10 years ago, building and scaling one of my most successful businesses, the last one that I fully exited. So let's kind of talk a little bit more about what the industry gets wrong. And here's why almost every woman I talk to believes exit ready is $1 million problem. They believe it because the 2 industries that should be helping you have both in their own way taught you to wait. Traditional exit planners and M&A advisors, They will not take your call until you're well into 7 figures. It's just the way it is. And I want to be fair to them about this because it's not about being a snob. It is fully built on arithmetic. They have a fee model, and sometimes they can take up to 10% of a sale. So they're not going to gobble up on a small business. Small businesses simply do not function with that fee model. And so they cannot afford to talk to you yet, simply from a commission standpoint, which means the entire body of exit expertise, all of that hard-won knowledge about what makes a business valuable and transferable gets written for and delivered to companies that are already years past the point where the foundational decisions actually get made. So the people who know the most about building a sellable business are structurally prevented from reaching you until it is nearly too late to help you. Their position is really to help negotiate, how to do some due diligence, how to comb through the systems. There's more to it, but I'm just kind of bringing it all in tight. Now, that's the challenge, is access to knowledge. And I fully believe that everybody should have access to knowledge. And yes, you can Claude, you can Chat GPT, you can create AI agents to help you with all of this. But at the end of the day, you still need a human looking at everything from an energetic, humanistic standpoint to make sure to draw out what your ideal exit would look like. And this is where the coaching industry comes into play. On the other side of the traditional exit planners, you have the coaching industry, which will absolutely talk to you at any revenue. But what it mostly sells you is scaling. Because somebody that's coming, that's going to be that is bringing in a little less than $250,000 in revenue, a lot of times you're wanting to, how do I make more money? How do I make more money? So they're going to give you structures and systems that are designed to scale. The problem is that designing to scale is going to create stress on an already stressed out system. And that's where the burnout kicks in. That's where the overwhelm happens. And when you look closely at what scale means in practice, it usually means pushing more volume through that same bottleneck. And my friend, the bottleneck in almost every case is you. It really is. So here's the line I want you to sit with. One of the industries will not talk to you until it is too late to help you. You should already have the systems by the time you speak to them, or pretty freaking close. And the other one will happily sell you a bigger version of the exact problem you already have. And neither one of them is lying to you on purpose. I want to be clear about that because I'm not trying to villainify anyone in this story. Both of these industries are behaving rationally inside their own model, but both of them benefit from you waiting, and you are the one who pays for the wait. So let me give you the whole concept this episode is resting on, because most of you have never heard it named out loud. And once you hear it, you cannot unhear it. The concept is transferable value. Transferable value is the part of your business that would still be worth something if you are not the one running it. It is the value that transfers to a new owner. And the reason it matters so much is that it is the only kind of value a buyer is actually buying. And far more importantly for most of you who will never sell, it is the only kind of value that can ever give you your life back. If you want to run 3 questions, well, I want you to. You don't get to decide. I'm going to share these questions with you. I want you to run these 3 questions in your own business while you are listening to me. And really, truly, just answer them honestly in your head. You don't even need to write it down. And just pay attention to where you might flinch, or you might tighten, or you might contract, or you might even be at a point where you're like, I'm pushing pause and shutting this bitch down. I don't want to fucking hear her. Because these could bring some awareness, and that's okay. Just be comfortable. Just say, okay, it's data. That's all it is data. I'm going to be aware. So here's question 1. Ready? If you disappeared for 90 days, what stops? Not what slows down, what stops completely. What simply does not happen if you are not there to do it or drive it or approve it? Let's make this a little quick. Question 2. Where does your revenue actually originate? And can you describe that origin as a process that someone else could follow? Or is the honest answer that your revenue comes from you being you? Question 3. If someone bought this business tomorrow, what exactly are they buying other than access to you? Sit with those, because here's the hard line. And I am saying this with love because I have lived it. A business where the answer to all 3 of those questions is you is not a business yet. Yet. There's hope. So don't get disheartened by hearing all of this. It is a job right now with really fucking excellent margins and a very demanding asshole of a boss. That's you. And this business, it will pay you well right up until the day you get sick, or you grieve, or you simply want a Tuesday off. And on that day, you will discover exactly how much of what you built was actually you. Standing in the same spot, holding it all up. So let me tell you about a woman that I sat with recently. This is a woman that was attending the retreat, and I'm going to keep every identifying detail out of this because the point is not who she is. The point is that she was me 10 years ago, and she is so many of you right now listening to this. She is growing faster than she ever has, having the best months of her entire career. I remember those days 10 years ago. I had $500,000 business, and it was growing and scaling so quickly. And I was trying to get everything put in place, but it still relied heavily on me being there on a regular basis. So when somebody in the room told her gently she needed systems and she needed help, it triggered her. She started crying. It brought something up. And it's not that she disagreed, because she's a genius. She's an incredibly smart woman. She has built this business, and in the last year, she made the decision, I am fully leaning into this business. It's not going to be just some side hustle thing that I do when I'm not working on my regular full time. She leaned in. And in 12 months, she has a 6-figure business. July, she had the largest sales that she's had ever, but everything is still sitting in her head. She's still handling all of the sales calls. She doesn't really have an email funnel, website, documentation of anything. And she's growing faster than she ever has. She's so many of you. She's having the best months of her entire career. And when the room told her gently she needs systems and she needed help, she cried. Because she believed it wholeheartedly and completely, but she could not see how she was supposed to survive it. She's on the verge of burnout. So the idea of adding more work to get herself set up to bring in new people and train them? Like, how overwhelmed was she? So overwhelmed. She told me, she was one of the first people I spoke to in the room when we were on our breakout sessions. And one of the things she shared with me is that she wants a bigger year. She wants to hit 300K, but she does not want a team. And she does not want to manage people. And there it is, the thing underneath it that made my whole chest ache, because I recognized it instantly. She closes half of every call she takes. Half, 50%. And because of that, she believes she is the magic. And so did I. So handling a single call over to someone else does not feel like delegation to her. It feels like betting the entire business on the possibility that she was never the magic at all, and terrified what happens if they fail. It feels like a test. And up until this point, when she's been doing it all on her own, she's passed that test. And now to pass that ownership of that decision process onto somebody else, I would be afraid too. And I was. And that's when I gave her a reframe. And I want to give this to you right now because it is one of the truest things I know about building a company that can hold your life together. We do not manage people. We manage systems. But as our responsibility as the head of the company, our job is to lead people on how to use those systems so that the work holds, the company holds, and your life holds. I told her the truth, which is that I was her 10 years ago. And the only reason I could see it in her in about 4 minutes flat is that I spent years of my own life defending my own version of that exact number. Absolutely certain that I was the magic and terrified of what it would mean if the business could run without me. And here is where this stops being a podcast for a few minutes and becomes the thing I actually teach. The thing underneath all the systems, strategies, and structures. Women have been told their entire life that the way to prove we are worthy and worth something is to carry more. Carry more, hold more, be the one who can be counted on to never drop it. And that's the actual engine underneath anyone's refusal to hire. It's not a logistics problem. It's a worth problem wearing a logistics costume. And this is why systems built on top of that worthiness engine will quietly fall apart, even when the systems themselves are good. Because a founder with an examined worth wound, you'll take back the work. Not consciously, not in a decision you could ever point to, but slowly, quietly. Because if the business runs without you, then the proof stops arriving. And something within you cannot tolerate another day without the proof. So here is the line I need you to actually take with you. You cannot systematize your way out of a worth problem. You cannot mindset your way out of a structural one. And that is exactly why every founder who tries just one of those without the other ends up right back where they started about 18 months later, exhausted and confused about why the thing did not hold on. The work is both at the same time, the structure and the story. And that's the entire reason I created the Energy Aligned Business Strategy. It's why it exists. Because it is the place where both of those happen together instead of one at a time. Now, that is all I'm going to say about that right now, because I would rather you actually get this information and allow it to sit on your heart than get sold anything today. Which, by the way, the Energy Line Business Strategy container for 2026 is closed. If you are interested in joining the wait list for the 2027 cohort, go ahead and click the link in the notes and then just sign up for the wait list, and you will be the first to know. You'll be on the VIP. But let me get back to the question I opened with, because now I can actually answer the revenue part very honestly. The reason this belongs at a 300,000, 200,000, even $100,000 mark and is not at $1 million is the time it takes. A real transition, the kind where you genuinely rebuild the spine of the business so it stops depending on you. And that can take 6 to 12 months depending on where you are in your journey. And nobody rebuilds the spine of a business in a panicked weekend, in an 8-week container, in a 4-day webinar. It doesn't happen. And anybody that's trying to tell you that is selling you bullshit. The founder who waits until a buyer is actually at the table, or until she is so burned out she cannot go on, is trying to do in 90 days what should have taken a year. And precisely that is when it's when businesses sell for a fraction of what they are worth. And it is when founders accept exits and changes they never would have accepted if they had built the foundation while they still had time. The unsexy truth in all of this, and I'm going to give it to you straight: you build the system, you repeat the system, you refine the system. And you do that for longer than it feels reasonable, longer than it feels exciting, and long after the newness has worn off. That is how $1 million business actually gets made. It's boring. It does not make good content online, but it fucking works. Trust me. So let me land the real turn, because I've been talking about exit this whole time, and I need you to hear what I actually mean. Exit ready is not about selling. Most of the women I work with will never sell their businesses, and that was never the point. Exit ready is about building something that can hold your life instead of consuming it. The option to sell is simply what falls out naturally once you have built the kind of business that does not need you standing in the center of it every single day. I'm going to help you build it to be free and sellable, which is just the shape freedom happens to take. If this registered with you, here's the next thing I want you to look at. I am running an Exit Ready CEO intensive. It's 4 days. And this is the single sentence that tells you whether you belong in that room. If you are growing right now and you are quietly a little afraid of what the growing is going to cost you, that is the room you need to be in. That is exactly who I built the Exit Ready CEO intensive for. I'm going to put the link wherever you're listening to this and down below in the show notes. And wherever you are in this series, I'm also going to add the What Stage of Business Are You In quiz. It's a free quiz, 5 questions, 2 minutes or less. That'll kind of give you an idea if you're in a rebuild, a reset, or a scaling phase, because it will show you exactly which of the 5 dimensions is holding you back, and it's completely free. It takes about 5 minutes. What I will do is I will see you on the next one. That's it for today. If this gave you something, share it with a founder who needs it. Take the free Exit Ready quiz and see exactly what 5 dimensions are holding you back. Until then, I'll see you next time, where we keep working both sides, the numbers and the nervous system. I love you all so much.